Hello and what is up guys, Rye here and welcome back of course to some more automation and BeamNG.Drive. Today we are creating our very own 1990s DTM car. So what is a 1990s DTM car? A few guys might be asking that. Well it's pretty simple here. It is a pretty much a German race car. DTM is a German race series called, I think it's called, I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation here, it's called Deutsche Tourenwagen Meisterschaft. That was a perfect pronunciation. It is a German race series from the 80s to the 90s, and there is like a modern DTM race series, but it stands for something slightly different. I think it's something slightly different. So we're doing a DTM car, pretty much a race car for the road. We are doing a road version of a race car because I can't find too many details on what the requirements are for a 1990s-ish DTM car race car. So we're doing a straight version, which is a bit more leeway on the rules. It's still going to look very DTM-esque. It's going to be wide fender flares and really kind of aggressive styling and stuff. So first off, we are doing two options here, either steel or partial aluminum, or maybe do something fiberglass, something just a bit different. You know, this is the top of the line basically. This is the very tippity top of the line model. We're gonna start off with fiberglass, something I've never used fiberglass a lot with cars. But you know, it could be a thing. I think Corvettes use fiberglass, etc. Some cars have used fiberglass. It's not crazy, but for a sedan to use fiberglass, probably definitely out of the ordinary. Monocoque chassis, steel, front-mounted longitudinal. This is going to be a front-engine, rear-wheel drive vehicle. Double wishbone multi-link. Sounds like a bit advanced, but this is just for the DTM, top-line DTM version, which doesn't share a lot of parts probably with the road-going version. So we're gonna base this off of my German brand, so it's gonna hopefully be German-ish. Of course, this brand loves to use inline 5s, so we're gonna do a 2.5 liter 5-valve, no turbochargers, inline 5. I don't think you can use turbochargers. Inline 5 works actually. We are not too big. We're gonna do a little bit of a lower stroke and a bigger bore here. I want this thing to rev. Oh, we're a bit over the size limit. I don't want that to happen. Even though we can do it, it won't be happy. The 2.498 liters of displacement. Pretty good 5-cylinder size. All lightweight. I might change this down because I don't want to make a crazy expensive race car VVT cams. We're gonna make a nice high cam profile. What, 80 sounds fine to me? Sure. Injection, multi-point per cylinder. This is basically a race car engine. This is probably like the same engine as the race car, just a bit detuned. For the street, obviously. Performance intake. Premium gas, you gotta put premium in a race car, of course. Long tubular. Do we need a cat for a race car for the road? We're gonna have a cat, yeah. No first, and then a straight through secondary muffler. So a bit sparse on the mufflers and increase the exhaust diameter just a bit here. We're shooting for the mid 200s horsepower. We can actually make probably weaker pistons and crank because our conrods cannot keep up. We're gonna go for forged and forged. So around 8,000 RPM is what we're doing, which is similar but a bit higher to the Mercedes-Benz 190e Evo II DTM car, which is what we're kind of basing this off of. Of course, we're going to try to beat that in every metric possible, except for looks, because you can't beat the looks of that Mercedes. Dang, good-looking car. Honestly, this power curve is not awful. We could definitely use up a lot more of our octane, though. We're going to increase the compression way up there. Not that high, apparently. We're going to go 11-to-1 compression, which is probably pretty high in itself. 240 horsepower, 180 torque, which is pretty similar to the Mercedes horsepower and torque. It's got, looking at here, 230 horse and 180 torque. So, you know, we're right there. 240 horse, 185 torque. So we got a bit more horse and a bit more torque than the DTM Mercedes. We can actually probably increase it because I don't want to care about fuel economy. I'll say 240 horse isn't terrible. It's not terrible. The torque curve is pretty flat. That's not bad. So 240 horse, 186 torque. Wait, 185 on the table here? No. Yeah, this is fine. These are all fine numbers. The exhaust seems pretty fine to me. Yeah, it's not overly restricted, just a bit though. So I think that's a good baseline. I might change it around. I want a bit more horsepower than that. This is going to be a four-door sedan, similar to the Mercedes. I'm not sure what body this is modeled after, but it is a damn fine 1980s, 90s sedan body. We're gonna make this thing pretty wild looking upcoming in the video. Front longitudinal engine, rear-wheel drive, manual, 5-speed, like any good transmission. We're gonna have a geared LSD, sounds like a fine thing to do. Radial, sports, and probably the biggest size tires possible. Although we're not gonna do the biggest. This is gonna be a wide body on this thing. This is a race car for the road. You can't get much more race car than this. 295 is definitely too wide. I think 255 rear is good, and then 240, 255 all the way around. That's a little thick though. Well, that is stance if I've ever seen it on a car. 16-inch wheels, of course, 16-inch alloys. Or magnesium wheels. Magnesium wheels, yeah, we'll go for that. Could be 17-inch, which is a bit on the large side. I'm not sure what size the Mercedes Evo had, or, you know, yeah, I think it had probably quite big rims as well. It looks like it in the pictures, so I'm going to assume it's probably in the neighborhood of 16, 17 inches, which is what we're at. It's got 300mm front brakes, so that gives us a size generally. Oh, it's got 17-inch wheels. Yep, 17-inch wheels. Okay, so we're good. Vented discs, 4-piston. I'll probably change it down to 3-piston front and rear. And the size, yada yada yada. It's going to be a for the sporty model. It'll still be a 5-seater, sport interior, no entertainment, because this is basically a race car for the road. Entertainment was an option, but not on the base model, of course. You know, hydraulic and the best safety, because I always like having the best safety. This is still a road car, and the best progressive springs. We're going to tune it to sport, not race. 2,600 pounds, which is around, what, 1,100 kilos? Not bad. 21 miles per gallon, but then again, the engine is a bit on the advanced side. It's going to be a relatively cheap car, costing just $38,000 in 2012, which I'm going to guess is like in the high 20s, maybe mid-20s back in 1992. Which is, you know, sounds like a pretty good deal for what you're getting. You're getting a lot of performance for this thing. What's the 0 to 60 time, actually? We've not tuned much here on that. 5.6, which is, I think, faster than the DTM Mercedes 0 to 60. We're going to gear it up to about 200, no, we'll do 280, we'll gear it to 140, sounds like a reasonable road speed. 5.8 seconds 0 to 60 with decently long gears. First gear takes us to about 80 kilometers an hour. We can make it a little bit smaller here. 60 kilometers an hour, 100 in second, a little less than 100, we'll get into 100. There we go, 100 in second. 100 in second, 145. That's not bad. There's some wheel spin, of course, in first gear, but that's gonna happen. This car's got a fair bit of power for what it is, truly. We can probably even play around with some sliders on this, but I'm gonna leave the engine. Like the engine is a race car engine now. Yeah, the engine is a race car engine now. What do we want for body panels here? Do we want aluminum's a bit heavy? I think fiberglass is the lightest. I think fiberglass fits in. That's possible. It's definitely on the pricey side, but it's possible. Brakes, we have a bit over strong brakes here. 2 pistons in the rear will make it 10 inches, and the front will have 3 pistons and 12. And we'll actually just change the brake bias just a bit here. So very, very, very strong brakes. This is again, guys, a race car for the road. Drink every time Ryan says race car for the road. Yeah, there's a lot of oversteer right now, but we're not done with that just yet. We're going to tune the suspension. Then we're going to tune the interior. +5 is what I like to deliver myself to, because everything else besides that just gets a lot more expensive. 5.3 seconds 0 to 60 is not crazy fast to modern standards, but for the 1990s, like this is fast. Probably almost base model Corvette, $56,000 in 2012 dollars, which is not that expensive a car. Like for 60 grand in 2012, that's probably similar to M3 price, and that is similar-ish performance. It's less, obviously, but it's more of like 335i performance. Not too far off, though. You know, I think that about does it for the basics of the car. So what I'm going to do now is, like always, I'm going to design the car, talk about it, and tune the engine, etc. And then after that, we're going to go over it real quick, then drive the car in BeamNG.Drive. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. And we are finally starting our build for our 1990s DTM car. So first thing of always, I'm playing with the headlight just a bit after I did the body. And I do settle on having dual sort of recessed headlights, similar to like a 1980s, 1990s kind of car. This is sort of like I guess probably like a pre-facelift car. I do add a grille in the middle, and that is the final grille, adding some details around the grille and headlights and a bar in the middle. And then I finalize on having the brand's logo in the middle, which is, I think the company's called AVA, and I forget what that stands for, but I'll mention it after the time lapse. I go on to try to add on some fender flares in the car. I don't know if they look 100% good, but then again, this is like the race car for the road version. Of course, it's a race car 4-door sedan for the road, but still a race car nonetheless. So I do add basically a side skirt and some fender flares on both sides of the fenders, on all the way around the entire car. I fiddle with the color just a bit, going on black just a little bit because I want to have it sort of similar to the DTM Mercedes, but not the same. I finish on white wheels and then a nice dark deep blue paint, adding some more fender flares to the back wheels and then a black trim piece around the bottom. Sort of just playing around with the design of the car, seeing what I want to do. So I have the front end pretty much done, adding just a hood scoop and some vents similar to my newer AVA model, my modern sports sedan. I had a spoiler, which it's given me a bit of trouble adding it, so I had to put it a little bit farther up than what I wanted. Door handles are added, the mirrors are added. Just playing around with the bottom, changing the colors of things, and working on the tail lights now, and then adding a exhaust pipe. It's just like a single dual exhaust outlet. It's pretty centered, which is kind of weird, but I like how that looks. And then adding on some proper tail lights. I don't have reverse lights built into the rear light cluster, but I would imagine they would be actually in behind. It would just change the white or something if you had to go into reverse. And again, this is a race car. Does it really need reverse? I'm not too sure. I do finalize on the name and adding a secondary spoiler. The car is the CS250 DTM, similar to my modern CS250, except this one is not modern and it's more of a race car. Then last but not least, I am working on some badging, just adding some finishing touches, adding a gas cap here and there as well. So this is us in front of us, the AVA CS250 German sports sedan. Alright guys, so finally we have the CS250 DTM. This is the AVA or Aero Venter Automotive AVA CS250 DTM. This is a four-door compact mid-size-ish, I guess, sedan. But then again, it has a lot of racing pedigree behind it. So this is a 25-valve dual overhead cam 5-valve per cylinder, obviously 2.5-liter inline-5 vehicle. 5-speed manual, 2,500 pounds, so it is quite light. It's got you know, silver displacement to pounds, which is pretty cool. Similar wheelbase. I think it's the same wheelbase actually as the Mercedes 190 Evo. I think it's actually the same wheelbase, 104 inches. So overall, the car, I think it looks pretty good. I like the design a lot. I'm not 100% sold on the back end. You know, I'm trying to fit into the style of my other AVA car, but this is sort of an older version, obviously, of the same vehicle. Overall, a lot of fun to make this car. Roll angle decently low, 3.2 degrees, decent G's on the cornering there, 5.50 to 60, which is faster than the 190 Evo. I think it's like 6.5 or around 6 seconds, so we're definitely faster, 0 to 60, and cheaper too. So we cost $58,000 US in 2012, but in 1990s money, that's about $34,000. So it's, I mean, it's not a cheap car by any means. But if you compare it to something like a 1994 BMW E36 M3, which is not a race car, it's a road car, although a high-end road car, that thing is about $36,000. We are undercutting a BMW M3, a 1994 M3, not the first-gen M3 because that is like pretty much a race car for the road. And although those things are really slow, like 0-60 is like the 7-second range, this is 5.5. This is a very fast car for what it is. It does have a little bit of oversteer going down low, I think. Oh, where are we looking here? A little bit of oversteer up until about 70 kilometers an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, but then after that, it's nice and pretty glued down to the road. I'm not 100% sure if I like this front end area, this part, but there's not enough for fender flares for like wide bodies and stuff. I think the side looks awesome. It's not perfect, you can see it's not perfect. It's pretty hard with these mods to get it perfect, but I think it looks pretty good. It's a pretty good job. Overall, a lot of fun to make. I did change the tires. They're 235 265s instead of 255 front and rear, so I'll offset tires. This is a race car for the road, guys. Okay, let me have this. Are they offset at the maximum amount? Oh, no, they're not. Oh, beautiful. I actually have to resubmit that to BeamNG.Drive because I haven't. So I think, yeah, the car's pretty much done. The front end, so you see we have like two square headlights with a bar across. Definitely a very, I think, a pretty aggressive looking front end. Especially with this, obviously, but without that, it's still a very aggressive-looking front end with a big grille, big grille on the bottom for a 1990s car. No windshield wipers, because I never put windshield wipers on my cars, because I don't know. No. You can't make them look that good. Door handles are there, the mirrors are there, white wheels, which I think look awesome. Again, not perfectly offset, because, yeah, it's hard to get the fenders perfectly in line and stuff. CS250 badge in there, like a vent that sort of, I guess, would just cool the brakes down. That's brake heat, I guess, dissipating. I'm not too sure. I go into this and it doesn't actually curve back up, it just sort of follows the body line that goes to this, which is I guess like another cooling duct. Why not? Maybe better for aero. Who knows? And then at the back end, so the back end I like it a lot actually. I like the bottom end, I like just this. I like how this looks. I'm not set on the taillights. There's no reverse light, but it's probably gonna be like probably like inside here or something inside the housing. I'm not too sure. Then one vent here, which probably wouldn't be functional because that'd be pretty weird to have a functional vent there. Anyways, a fun car to drive. Didn't do too much. Did some suspension tuning, just a bit, and a little bit of engine tuning. I want to say as well. Not really much though. 240 horse, 186 torque. So we have more horsepower and more torque than a 190 Evo II for Mercedes-Benz. Oh, we've got one extra cylinder, so I'll give it that. So we're going to jump into BeamNG.Drive and see what kind of numbers this thing can put down on a racetrack. Okay, so we're here in BeamNG.Drive. This is the old racetrack circuit, I think. 2 laps in automation, the automation map in BeamNG. The car transferred over phenomenally, I think, into BeamNG.Drive. I think the front end looks actually better. I think the side looks great, and the back end looks good as well. Back end, the taillights didn't really transfer that well, but, you know, what do you expect? So we're into this race here. No traction control, obviously. Sounds pretty good, though. Off the bat. Definitely a little bit squirrely. We have a little too much power for the size of these tires. We're going to take it nice and slow, though. I'm not setting record times, just setting some decent times. It's a pretty fast car so far. We're going to get some air right up here. It's fine. The car's still fine. And we're going to brake a little bit slowly here. Drop it down a second. Ooh, it gets a little squirrely. That's okay. And full throttle a little bit out here. If we could set around just over 2 minutes, we'd be fine. 2 minutes, 10 seconds would be great. I think that's what we're shooting for, maybe. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse. That jump scares me, though, because the suspension is so stiff, obviously, in this thing. But the brakes are a little bit too good, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm not used to them, though. It pulls strongly all the way through to 8,000 or so RPM, though. We can get to 4th gear in this strip, which is pretty good. Brake a little bit early, and down to the 2nd tier. Just over 1 minute for the first lap, but this is a rolling lap now, so we're going to get a bit better of a time here. Ooh, just tapped the wall there. You notice I'm being a little more easy in the throttle here. We're going to go down a second. Ooh. We could probably do... I think we're sitting pretty good times right now. We're about 4 seconds ahead. We're not going for 2:10 though. We're going for a bit more than that. 3:60, 3 minutes, 3 seconds and 6. We want 4th. Oh, we just wasted that shift there. That's okay though. We're coming in pretty fast this turn. And we're going to brake here. Downshift. And on the throttle the whole time. A little bit less throttle. Ooh. Ooh, we almost lost it there. That's fine. It pulls pretty strong. You don't have to downshift, to be honest. There we go. We set a 214, sorry, 214 total, which puts it up there with my top 6 times, actually. It's close to the Quanta Series 65, which is a supercar, hypercar, if not. The CSC, which is another supercar. The CS250 TA, which is the modern version of this car, but it's not the race version. It's just a 5-cylinder turbo 5-pot. Scored a 211. So we scored a 214 and 212. So this thing actually did pretty good. Definitely pretty... We're going to just go freedom for a second here and just restart. We're going to drive around just for a little bit longer. Oh, it sounds great though, so... I like those pops and crackles. Ride the clutch because I can. Oh, she gets a little squirrely there. I get a bit more aggressive on the track, but you know, as much as I love doing 4 takes to actually get a lap around this, I love just finishing the race on the 3rd take, which is fine. Oh, that was close there. Yeah, body roll is not non-existent, but it's nearly non-existent there. Oh, it did spin out. Wow. There we go. It's very glued to the road, though. Like, even at low speed, as long as you don't, you know, break it loose, it's very glued. Like, it feels like it's got more grip, and it's, it inspires confidence, I would say. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that. We could probably even brake way later, to be honest, but, get nice and gently through here. Oh. There we go. It wasn't bad. Like, overall, on this straightaway, we can get up to, what, 160, I think it was on this straightaway, braking at 50, yeah. 165 even. Oh, a little bit soft on the braking there. Overall, though, I would love to make a modern or a mid-2000s DTM car, actually. I think it's something I really want to do, too. It's going to be against the M3, I think the M3 GTR, which this thing would get, which, you know, a mid-2000s version of this would compete against. Of course, it'd have to be a two-door, because, you know, it was the M3. Well, I think that was pretty much it. A nice little short lap, couple laps, I guess. Not a bad car overall. Pretty good to drive. I'm going to put this car for download for you guys to download if you guys want to check it out and improve it or whatever. One thing I want to say as well is, wait, is it like vents? Is that what that is? I don't know. One thing I want to say, if you guys made it this far, you guys probably want to watch more stuff. More stuff's coming in the next few days, obviously. I'm going to start live streaming this week. I'm going to have a schedule up later, probably today or tomorrow. I'm going to do, not really a schedule, I'm going to have a date for when I'm live streaming, my first live stream. I'm going to do a build with you guys live. You guys can help me build a car. And actually, most of you guys will help just do the car for me. You just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I've also created a Discord. Yes, a Discord finally. Link is going to be in the description. There's a couple of chat rooms and stuff. It's not 100% complete yet. It's still getting worked on. I got some ranks set up, etc. So you guys can join in. You guys can like get score for chatting, like the Meebot and stuff, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So the Discord will be linked in the description down below. So join the gosh darn Discord, and then you know we can. You know, I'm always on Discord, to be honest, from other channels and stuff. So I'm always on there. Feel free to at me whenever. And I'll, talk to you guys. We can show cars off and stuff, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So behind the scenes stuff maybe too. Who knows? I don't know. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.